And I'm back. That didn't take very long. I hope you're still watching your commercial or whatever. But I think we're going to actually tune the green screen a little bit more too. So the last thing I need to do is fix this auto thingy on the auto brightness or something on the camera. It like fades me in and out sometimes. So it is 8:05 p.m. We've let the stream get spooled up here. Everybody that's coming in, welcome to Kerbal Space Academy. We do Kerbal Space Academy just about every night. My name is Das. I am your host for Kerbal Space Academy. And tonight we are going to be doing space planes, kind of intro to space planes. Not a bunch of completely wacky, crazy space planes. I'm not here to show off. I am here to teach you the basics of space planes so that you can build your own. So we are going to be covering a couple different topics tonight. And the first is going to be constructing the space plane, getting the center of balance correct, the center of lift correct, the center of thrust correct, the center of everything correct, gravity as well, mass. And then we're going to be flying the space plane. I think I'm going to start with a small space plane, nothing too fancy. That's a good place to start if you're just getting into space planes. And then we're going to go on to a bigger space plane, probably some sort of crew tender or something like that, that we can use to deliver some crew up to the orbital Hilton. I am actually in my space station save here because we've got both Jeb up on a station. He needs to be rescued, so we can get that done. We'll do some crew rotation there with our first plane. And then the second one, we need to get some crew up to the orbital Hilton. So we're going to be looking at about 2 hours this evening of talking about space planes with two missions. One, to rotate Jeb out of his easy-peasy station cheesy, I think is where he's at right now. I can't see him in the sky. He's missed me on the other side of the planet. And two, to start staffing up our orbital Hilton. So that's what we're going to be trying. I'm going to be going for about 2 hours here. If you're new to Kerbal Space Academy, the entire point of Kerbal Space Academy is that I am here doing this live. I'm not recording this. I didn't script it. The only thing I have on my desk is a freaking... what is this? One of those things you grab hot pans with from eating my heated up enchiladas earlier. I don't have any paper around me. I'm not scripted. I don't even have like bullet point list of topics to cover. I make it up as I go. And what I want is... I just held this up on the camera. What's going on, Dust? The entire point is that as I go through these topics, I will stop and check the chat every so often. And what I want you to do is, if I go over something too fast, if you have questions that I don't answer, you want to know something that I didn't talk about or I didn't cover, ask me in the chat. That's the entire point of Kerbal Space Academy. YouTube, there's tons of videos out there. There's tons of YouTube videos. You can watch them all day long. There's some really great content out there, but you can't ask the people who made the videos questions. That's exactly what it was. It was molten enchiladas, Gav. When you're here at Kerbal Space Academy, I, your instructor, am right here live. I will read that chat. I will answer your questions. Even if they're not related, I'll try to answer them. If it's something about a mod I'm using or something we're doing, something like that, definitely ask me those questions. When you're asking questions, there's a couple different things you can do to get my attention. You can either put the word DAS, D-A-S, that's my first part of my name. If you put DOS on my screen, it highlights it in red. That makes it really obvious to me that you're asking me something. You can also put the word question. So if you just say question and put a colon, then type out whatever your question is, or you say I have a question, something like that. Question will also highlight it in chat for me. So if you need to get my attention here, you can use the word DOS, you can use the word question. That will highlight it in the chat, and that will make me look over at the chat and answer your question during one of my kind of roll back the clock sessions when I go and check the chat and get those questions answered. I've already got some, I've apparently already got some red questions over there. One about my molten enchiladas, that's why I ate for dinner. I hope I don't die because they were a little bit old. And hiya DOS and chat. Oh, hello Sarion. What's going on? Pewface04 also welcome. I'm gonna do a quick roll call and see who we got. See if there's any new people here. Dan with a bunch of numbers in your name. Welcome. Blue Zero, remember you? Caboose, Chainsaw Face. Hey, Chainsaw. Welcome back. Sidley, Jesus me, CNC Master, a bunch of guys been hanging out with me. Darth Bellon, I've seen you before. Diono. Welcome to Kerbal Space Academy. If you have any questions, ask me. Put DOS in the chat, it'll highlight in red. Gav is here. Gav, you're awesome. You are definitely a regular. Gene Kerman, Green Ember. Hormigas Cybernetica. No kidding. Is that a reference to... Oh my gosh, what were the Hormigas? Those were the beginning of the Ender series? Were they Hormigas when they first came in? That's like the Earth of Fire and Earth Under Siege. What were the name of the books that they just came out with? Hormigas was the original words of the buggers. Hunt is here. Cladonetico, Pewface, you're new. Welcome. Project Curiosity, also welcome. Righteous Army, Righteous Jam, Rip Forever, Solo Asylum. Wow. Got a couple follows there while I was doing the roll call. Pewface and Xzippo, who I didn't even see in the chat. Anyways, everybody, welcome to Kerbal Space Academy. Don't hesitate to ask questions. We're going to be going over space planes. I will begin this by saying that I am not the expert spaceplane constructor or flyer in the world. I am not ashamed of that, but I know the basics, and hopefully I can convey some of the basics to you so that you can build your own spaceplanes and hopefully get them into space. So, what I'm going to do also, Hunt with the follow there. Welcome to the Academy, Hunt. Look forward to seeing you on future Space Academy streams. Without further ado, let's get old Bill here back into... let's recover him, actually. Get him back into the hangar, and we're going to go into the spaceplane hangar and build a spaceplane, I think. I don't know. We're going to do something. I'm not sure what it's going to do. It may have wings on it, and it may go into space. Das, do I have a joystick? No, I have the old Mark I keyboard. I do not have a joystick, and that makes crashing things a lot worse. Zfos Linux, I have one. It's not really set up very well right now. I'm just getting set on getting these videos uploaded. I do have the intention of uploading all the Kerbal Space Academy sessions to YouTube, so if you couldn't catch them here and Twitch deletes them, you can catch them on YouTube. But I'm really not set up very well. So, here we are at the Kerbal Space Center, KSC. This right here is a spaceplane hangar. We're going to start out with easy things that I know I can get the answers right to. This is a spaceplane hangar. The number one thing you want to do whenever you build spaceplanes is start out in the hangar. The symmetry between the hangar, we just got started, Snuggly Squid. We just got started. Look, I'm just now clicking on the hangar here. Let's see. Oh, got a couple questions as I go into the hangar screen here. What do we type for a special question? You either type DOS or you type question. That'll highlight in red. That'll make me pay attention to it. DOS, do I have any mods installed? Dan, if you scroll down and look at the channel description, there's a link of all, or there's a thingy with all my mods. I understand that if you're on Xbox or some situations you may not be able to see it. I need to get that fixed. But my mod list is down there in the channel description if you're on a web browser or you're on mobile. I know you can see it in both those places. Yeah, Snuggly, no, you definitely have great timing. We are going to start with a new spaceplane. Again, doing Kerbal Space Academy. Spaceplanes. As always, Kerbal Space Academy is brought to you by Dr. Pepper, not because they pay me, but simply because I like to drink it. Let's get going here. I'm going to build a super simple spaceplane here. I am not going to be building a big, huge, complex spaceplane with 18 million parts. I don't want any part lag in there. I don't want it to be difficult to get in orbit. We want to keep it simple. And if you're new to spaceplanes, I recommend you do the same. Don't try to start off by building a C-130 that goes to space, right? Complete with, I don't know, solid rocket booster cannon sticking out the side or something like that. Not a great place to start if you haven't started, if you don't have the experience with the spaceplanes. I'm going to start off just with a small spaceplane, and I am going to actually make a freaking super small spaceplane using one of these cockpits. Which one's lighter? There's that one. There's that one. I'll go ahead and use this one. That's good. You get a couple different spaceplane cockpits. This Mark III cockpit, a lot of people love to click on this one and start with it. This cockpit is actually a really hard place to get started because check... It's actually attachment points, eating waffles. Welcome to the Academy. Hope to see you for some future spaceplane or some future Space Academy sessions. We are doing spaceplanes tonight. Look at this part. A lot of people jump straight at this because it looks a lot like the shuttle, right? Rest in peace, shuttle, by the way. But a lot of people jump straight to this. It carries a lot of crew. What's it carry? Like 4 or something? 3 crew. It's really hard to build with. Yes, there are some cool parts. Yes, we can build a spaceplane with this. Maybe, oh, Icebox also in the channel. Thanks, Icebox, for showing up, man. Always appreciate you helping out around here. Icebox is one of my channel mods. This, I'm not going to get started with this piece simply because check out its center of gravity. Mounting things on this, because of where that axial attachment point is, the green blob, makes things very difficult. So I am not going to start with the big one. I am going to start with a very simple spaceplane. I apparently can't grab that. A very simple spaceplane. Spaceplane. Let's see here. We would just use this Mark 1 or Mark whatever cockpit. What cockpit? Mark 2. I like this cockpit because it gives us attachment points both on the front and the back. We do have this other little kind of cool cockpit, the really nose aerodynamic looking one. In fact, you can make a kind of cool looking spaceplane by adding those two things together. But I'm going to go ahead and start with this one. You can start with whatever you want, man. Caboose, I totally agree. This one is full stock to keep it more accessible to more players. I should do one that has FAR installed because that is definitely a very cool thing to add when you're dealing with spaceplanes. FAR, for anybody that doesn't know, both near and far change the aerodynamics. The aerodynamics in Kerbal Space Program, not so accurate. They're kind of a rough description of how air flows. It's actually not even really. I don't even know what it is. But let's get started with a spaceplane. Spaceplane is going to need two types of fuel. A spaceplane will need both engines that operate in the atmosphere, using air from the atmosphere as the oxidizing agent, and then rocket engines that use oxidizer and liquid fuel. So Kerbal Space Program gives us a couple different options there. I'll go over to the fuel tab. I will click on the different fuel tanks, and that's where we'll get started. This right here, you can hover over it. The Mark I fuselage jet fuel carries 150 units of jet fuel, which is kind of cool. It only carries jet fuel though, so that means that if I'm going to use this fuel tank, I have to have air intakes. Remember, a jet engine still uses the same two components for combustion. It uses an oxidizing agent and it uses a fuel. This here will carry the fuel. The oxidizing agent will be oxygen from the atmosphere that we suck in via the intakes. We'll get those on here in just a second. This tank right here, the important thing to note, that's so ugly. That cockpit is so freaking ugly. Oh my gosh, I may throw that cockpit away just because it's so ugly. I'm not sure. In fact, I think I may throw that thing away. I don't like that cockpit at all. It's ugly. So anyways, this will run a jet engine. Let us go get a jet engine. Here's a turbojet engine. I'm going to grab it. You can see that if I right-click on it, the jet engine needs both intake air and liquid fuel. This tank carries that liquid fuel for us. Intake air comes from things like air intakes, which are on the aerodynamic tab. And you can totally, this is the ugliest space plane ever. You could totally, geez, seriously? I think I'm going to toss this thing. But we do have a complete thing right here. We have an air intake to suck air in, which is going to be our oxidizing agent. We have jet fuel, which is our fuel. And we have an engine that will use that intake air and the jet fuel to make thrust going out the back of our thingy, our plane. So, we could do it that way. We could also, in fact, we're just going to start with this. We're honestly just going to start with this. That's ugly as sin. This is going to be ugly. I'm going to toss this on here. That looks terrible. It's all good though. Darth space plane, right? It just looks hideous, honestly. And I am going to make a super simple plane. We're going to start with a super simple plane, and we will add the space in a minute. So there we also got some wings. Another critical component of your space plane is lift. We get lift either by pointing a rocket engine straight up, not really lift in that, that's really thrust in an upward direction. We can get lift by using any of these aerodynamic parts and putting them on our plane. Now you can see this actually looks like a plane. It has two wings. It has an air intake. It has a place for the dude to sit. It has fuel, and it has that thingy that shoots fire out the back. Not a particularly good plane, but I think we're going to try and fly it like this and see how it works. Because again, you may be like, Das, dude, where's the rocket engines? You said space planes. This, the first part of space plane is space. Wow, that doesn't make any sense at all. Plane is the key part of space plane. The space is probably 25% of it. The plane is probably 75% of it. If you don't have a good plane, you will not have a space plane because you will not be able to get the space to plane. Wait a second, the plane to space if you don't have a good plane in the first place. So we're going to start off by making a good plane. Roughly, even though this one's terrible as sin. You may notice that this plane doesn't have something that you would normally think a plane should have. Planes a lot of the times have, I don't know, tails, maybe. Let's see if we can find a tail to put on here. There's a tail fin. And I'll just go with one. That plane looks terrible. We're going to see how terrible it flies. Again, we are just getting started here. We are actually going to make this thing. Can I put it sideways? Yep, I can. Look at this terrible looking plane. That plane looks hideous. That plane looks totally hideous. But we're going to see how it flies because it has all the requisite parts. It has an intake. It has a place for the dude to sit. It has that. It has fuel. It has lift from the wings. It has thrust from the engine. It has control. Let's put some more control surfaces on it. Just slap these little things on here. I am not going to look at anything. I am going to take this thing out, and we're going to see how it flies just slapping it together. It honestly looks like a really early Korean War plane, like one of the original starfighters or something that had those big intakes right on the front. Ooh, apply butter to the bottom. Good point. Landing gear. We also need some way to roll down the runway because we do not start flying right off the bat. We need some landing gear. I'll grab this small gear bay. and I will toss it on there, and we will see what we can do. Again, this is not the end-all be-all of space planes. We are just getting started here. And a lot of times, remember, if you've been around me, sometimes I make something that doesn't quite work correctly first, simply so that we can come in here and fix it. If you can look at something and see what's wrong with it and then fix it, that looks terrible. That engine is going to be just about pointing straight up in the air. Oh my gosh. Jeez, let's see. All right. I'm going to see if this thing flies. Plane with a question mark, actually? Who knows? If we can make something and we can take something that doesn't work very well and we can fix the problems with it, not only does that mean we understand what the problems, we understand how to fix it, that means that we're going to be able to make a lot better planes in the future because we understand the basics concepts. This is actually a, let's call it this, a spaceless plane. This is a spaceless plane. Period. That's not a question. That is a statement. Save it. Launch it. Let's see how this thing goes. The gears of landing. We definitely need the gears of landing. You're not lying. Let's see how this hideous little terrible space plane. Whoa, look at the little plane. Oh my gosh. Again, I'm not here to show off. I'm not trying to, oh, that's, yeah, okay, did a sweet wheelie. I mean, meh. We have a lot of problems with this plane. In fact, if you can start naming some problems that you already see with this plane, some things that I didn't do or some problems you see as it goes down the runway, feel free to type it into chat because, again, here in Kerbal Space Academy, we're going to learn how to fix this plane. We don't just want to start with a perfect plane from scratch. How is that going to teach us anything? We want to actually learn something. Don't tell anyone. So I'm going to go ahead and throttle up. I'm going to go ahead and click that. I'm going to go ahead and light the engine. There we're going to get some sweet, sweet thrust. Look at that acceleration. I like the acceleration. Whoa, we're already taking off. Oh my gosh. That was definitely like a STOL, a short takeoff and landing, because it freaking totally took off in all of 10 feet almost. I'm not even sure. This plane is actually stable as heck. Let's see how she does. We'll go into a turn. Alrighty. And look at this. We're turning around pretty fast. This is just a super simple plane. We've got freaking buku thrust. We seem to be pretty well balanced. It just weighs so little it flies really well. Let's buzz the tower. Remember that one incident with the Admiral's daughter? Oh no! The great plane lesson over. Thank you for joining Kerbal Space Academy. We've made a plane. We've crashed into the hangar. But honestly, that plane flew a lot better than I expected. Let us try it again. Let us go back to the spaceplane hangar. Always good to start off with a crash, I think. Let's go ahead and get back here to the launch. And what I'm going to do, the baby plane actually flies. It actually flew like a freaking champ. Let's see. I want to see how quickly it takes off. We're going to watch it from the side. We're going to throttle her up. SAS engaged, which is pressing the T key. T-key. Cool. Let's see what's happening. You know something? I think we could totally fly this through the ring, Scarion. That actually makes a lot of sense. And also, the Freutsch. The Freutsch, welcome to the Academy. Hope to see you for some Funer specials. Let us take this thing off. We are going to launch it. It looked hideous. It's like a freaking starfighter, but apparently the Skunkworks did well on this one. It's got that angle of attack is one thing it's definitely got. Let's light it and see how quickly we take off. From the numbers. There we go. When do we get liftoff? By the end of the numbers? That's not intentional. I guarantee you that's not intentional. Wow. What did I miss there? What did I just miss there? What did I think? Pew pew, I will go back and get your questions when I'm running my mouth like this and trying to explain some stuff. What I usually do is I go back and I check the chat for questions when I get breaks. So I will get back to your question. I will scroll back and catch it. Problem with my plane. Too large, too heavy. It's just a super simple plane. The thing is, who thinks it's going to go to space? I don't know. Space is up, isn't it? Let's see if this plane will go to space. And if you know why it's not going to go to space, you can tell me in the chat. I'm going to time warp. We don't want to spend a lot of time on this. But let us see how quickly we can accelerate. Look at that. 400 meters per second. We got some air effects going on there. Look at that. Shock heating going out of the atmosphere. That's actually really cool. Uh-oh, what just happened there? What? Oh. Well, it looks like I'm in space, right? Here I am. I mean, that's space. What's my apoapse? Let's go have a look. Okay. 106. This little plane was able to get into space. But what happened? The engine, she no working anymore. Why is the engine not working? The problem is, remember this engine that we slapped on here? Wow, got another follower. Eweparia. I totally Uaparia. Welcome to the Academy and thanks for the follow. Here we are with this little tiny plane in space. Could we get a suborbital flight with it? Yes, this is all we needed to get a suborbital flight. But remember what I said when I put this turbojet engine on there, it requires two resources. It requires, yeah, it's not a spaceless plane. It requires two resources. It requires intake air, which is the oxidizer, and it requires fuel. We still have fuel here because we've got fuel in the tank. That's not our problem. The problem is up here in space. You can see that on the atmosphere gauge, we are way short on atmosphere. Here, I'll do a barrel roll for Fox. There we go. Actually, we're going to run out of electric charge if we're not careful. Out here in space, no one can hear you scream. No one can breathe air either because there isn't a whole heck of a lot of it. That means that this big fancy intake on the front of the engine, of the plane, of the whatever this thing is, the spaceless plane. Gosh, Soccer Dog 254 also welcome to the Academy and thanks for the follow. We are doing Kerbal Space Academy Spaceplanes 101 this evening, and we are starting off with, and Duracell. Duracell also welcome to the Academy. Starting off with a plane that we didn't think was going to make it to space. I apparently proved myself wrong, which happens on occasion. We are in space. The problem is we're suborbital. And I was just explaining, this engine requires air and fuel. We have fuel. We have no air because we are in space. And what that means is that we are never going to be able to get this thing orbital. So, we are going to go ahead and say, when we got here to ApoApps, if you've been in my channel before, you know what I do. I go out to ApoApps, I create a node, I pull that node prograde like this, I wait till it gets in ApoApps, like that, and then I would go ahead and burn that node. Again, the problem is that we have no thrust up here because we have no air intake. We have no oxidizing agent for our engine. Orbital at first. You're right. You're definitely right. But I am not going to be able to burn this node because I simply have no more thrust. Although we can do totally sweet space barrel rolls here, we are not going to be able to circularize this orbit. So did we get into space? Yes, we did get into space. Are we going to be able to make this an orbit, get anywhere else, get to the moon, dock with the station, anything like that? That will not work for us. So, we're going to keep it totally simple here. I got a, I'm going to go back to the hangar. And as I'm going back to the hangar, when I change scenes, that's usually when I look at the chat to get some questions. And I think I saw a good idea in chat. There's a spaceplane hangar. Let's get it back there. White Chevy SS, the pod, the cockpit actually has reaction control in it. It's got reaction wheels, and so it is able to get that roll amount by, or it's able to get the roll control there by using the reaction wheels installed in the cockpit. So that's why we were able to roll like that. I was using reaction wheels. I wasn't using atmospheric control surfaces. Good point, though. Let me get caught up with the chat here and have a look. I didn't think it was going to go to space either. I thought it was going to like, and then like die or something. Solo Asylum, I think we got up to about 20 before that died out. I only had one air intake on it, so that is about where we died out. Filth Wizard, I am back. I didn't ignore that. Yep, you got me there, Gav. Thanks for getting my back. What was your question, Pew? Where was it? Where do I think they get the fuel from? Kerbal Dinosaurs. They get it from Kerbal Dinosaurs. Cheese Dane is short and drunk. Yes, it is. Let's see if I missed anything else. Pizza overload. Nope, didn't eat any pizza tonight. Didn't ignore your questions. Got you back there. Problem with the plane, too large, too heavy. Put a cap after that one. Anything else that I missed in the chat? Again, this is Kerbal Space Academy, and one of my entire points is that I can look at the chat and answer your questions. So if you have questions about what I'm doing, if you want me to explain something, you want me to demonstrate something, post it in the chat. That is what I'm doing right now, is going back. Thinner air, almost to space, no air, no air. Yep, everybody was right. Not enough air intakes. I don't even know what that word is. Went way into space. Little plane that could, needs the air. Yes. Okay, so everybody caught on to the fact that it didn't get up there because it was out of air. What else is going on? We made it. I saw another good idea, and I am going to come back. Snuggy, you have a habit of flipping over backwards. Why does this happen? Ooh, Snuggly Squid. I will actually answer that question right now. So we know that we need to make some sort of engine on this plane that will allow it to work with when it's in space, using the liquid fuel and the oxidizer, the liquid oxidizer, like you carry in the regular rocket engines, because this air intake just does not work when it's in space. So let me answer Snuggly Squid's question right here. Snuggly Squid, there are some basic components of a plane. There is the center of mass, which you got right there. I just clicked on this. And you've got the center of lift. I threw this plane together and I did not expect it to be like that. I thought it was going to fly like trash, honestly. But the relative location of the center of mass and the center of lift are very, very important when you're designing a space plane. You can see that just so happened the little plane that could, the beer can plane, the not so spaceless plane, actually I should probably say not so spaceless plane. Use another T there also. This little plane, the way I slapped it together, actually had a good ratio, I guess, a good placement of center of lift to center of mass. That's because on a space plane, I always want my center of mass to be slightly in front of my center of lift, which is exactly what's going on right here. Center of lift, wow, got some more there. Mr. Emerald 101, welcome to the Academy and thanks for the follow. We have the center of lift. It's just behind the center of mass. What that means is that our plane is going to be constantly trying to nose forward just a little bit. As it's flying through the air, it's going to be wanting to go forward just a little bit because the lift is right here, the mass is right here. It's kind of like pulling on it. Imagine the lift is a string where the plane is attached and the mass is the center of gravity. It's going to be kind of pulling it forward. That means that as you're flying the plane, you can always be kind of tapping S to get it to nose up a little bit. I could ruin this plane. I could make this plane very, very flip happy simply by doing something like this. So you see, not only does that look hideous, but that also puts the center of lift, wow, that's not going to work, that puts the center of lift well in front of the center of mass. That's a problem. Let me see if I can fix it a different way, because that's going to screw with my landing gear. No, let's do it that way. We'll totally do it that way, and we will fix the landing gear like this right here. I'm just going to put these guys here in 2x symmetry, make a couple of them so that we can put them like that, and this is going to be kind of our like field expedient landing gear back here. I'll take this, I'll put it on there, angle snap off, go ahead and rotate them in. That should work. Let's try to fly the plane like this. Let us definitely try to fly the plane like it'll go orbital with a couple Separatrons. Well, we could actually give that a try, Army. Let's try to fly in the plane like this with the center of mass way here in the back and the center of lift way here in the front. If you think you know what's happens, type it in the chat. I think I know what's happens. I'm not sure because I didn't think that thing was going to go to space. But let's see here. I'm going to click launch, and I'm going to launch this plane and see how she flies. I don't expect it to be well. I expect it to end quite poorly. Quite poorly indeed. Let's see. There's the scene loading. Game Boy, Circularized Orbit is next. That is exactly what we're going to be doing with the space plane right after this. This is apparently the space wheelie plane. Not so bueno. But I am going to be doing that next right there. Hectic dude, welcome. We are doing space planes in Kerbal Space Academy here this evening. As you can see, I have an outstanding angle of attack with this plane. This plane looks hideous. It was flying well. We broke it to show what was happening. Again, remember, the center of lift on this plane is well in front of the center of mass. Enzo3245, welcome to the Academy, and thanks for the follow, man. Let's light this candle. Let's throttle it up. Let's lock the panel, and let us press the space bar, which I hope will push us over. Nope, we took off straight. But look what's happening. I have no control here. It just wants to do flips. It went straight up. That ended poorly. Apparently we made a paper airplane. So what happened there? Let's watch it again. I love to see things crash. You love to see things crash. Let's crash some things. That center of lift was well in front of the center of mass. That means that there was a force on the front of the plane pulling it up. That was the lift. There was a force on the back of the plane pulling it down. That was gravity acting on the center of mass. What that did was constantly make our plane go like this and make us do a backflip. We had a really exceedingly short takeoff amount here. Let's do it one more time. Watch what happens. She takes off in like 10 feet. There's nothing I can do. I mean, all the downstick in the world does not help this plane. Maybe I could spin stabilizer. Yes, I can just fly in circles like this. Can I keep her airborne? Definitely kind of stunt planey. Let's see here. Yep, pull me up. I'm just flying this plane by changing the orientation. When I want to go down, I rotate so I'm upside down. Uh-oh, that's not good. When I rotate in the other direction, I rotate in the other direction. Oh, no bueno. Apparently, I don't have a lot of control at all, but she's flying. But look at that. Every time I try to go straight, she tries to flip over on her nose. That's because that center of mass is well behind the center of lift. That lift is pulling our nose up, and there ain't jack we can do about it. We just don't have the control authority beyond the wacky aerial spin acrobatics here. It looks like we're in a kind of flat spin here. Nope, I saved it. So, now you can see. Now to land. Wait! Oh, I'm going to be able to buzz the tower. In the plane that has absolutely no control, in the plane that landed, that flew perfectly fine, I could not buzz the tower in. This is hideous. Bill, I suggest you bail out. Wait, no, roll with it, buddy. Aww. Now fly through the ploops with that plane. Not gonna happen. Sir, not appearing in this stream is that plane flying very much. Let's go back to the space plane hangar. Let's fix that plane. In fact, I'm going to show you what happens when the center of mass is too far in front of the plane. You may know what it's going to be. It's going to be the freaking opposite. Again, what I was just demonstrating. There's my center of mass, well to the back. There's my center lift, well to the front. As that plane was flying, it kept pulling my nose up because that lift was the force acting in an upwards direction, just like the arrow shows, on the front of the plane. Yeah, totally landed it. Counts. You didn't say I had to walk away from the landing. You just said get it on the ground. So I'll get this. I'm going to toss this back onto here with my wheels. 2x symmetry. Angle snap that. Angle snap that. Let's see here. There we go. That looks good. Again, I'm going to fix the plane. And remember, all I did to fix the plane, grab these puppies. 2x symmetry. Move it back until that center of lift is just behind the center of mass. Just like that. What's going to happen if my center of pass, or center of mass, is well in front of it? Maybe I can get that done just by putting the wings way to the back. Let's see here. Yeah, it totally looks like that intake should never go there. Let's put these things way back here. That looks pretty good. That center of lift is pretty darn far behind the center of mass. Again, it wasn't right there. That was Kill Bill. Reenacting the movie. Nice, Foster Brooks. I'm reenacting the movie Kill Bill. Ay, ay, ay. Now that center of mass is well in front of the center of lift. Let's see if this is flying. Let's see if this guy's going to make it. Again, we're just playing with the space plane. I explained earlier, everybody wants to see a big complex space plane. The first part of the space plane is the plane part. If you don't have a plane that flies, you will not get it to space. So that's why we're kind of playing around with this plane here just to see what we can do to make her fly, make her not fly, so we understand the basic concepts. Let us... Ooh, I could have moved the tail back too, I guess. Let's throttle her up, panel lock, SAS engage, take off, and see how she does. Again, on this one, my center of lift was well behind my center of mass. Look at that lift. You can actually see the tail getting lifted up. Apparently, we're airborne. And this plane, hey, she's not so bad. She's not so bad. Ah, but look, I can't really nose her up. Remember how easy that other plane was to nose up? I got her nosed up, but it's really hard for me to get that nose going the direction I want. See, I hammer on that and she kind of weeble wobbles. Let's put her in a bit of a spin there. There we go. So, I think the demonstration there is that that plane, when the center of mass was before, or I guess well after the center of lift, there wasn't much we could do with it. That plane was flipping out of control constantly. Here, it was almost equidistant. It's like we put the center of lift almost the same distance behind the center of mass. I wonder if this plane would go to space. See how it's hard to see how she weebles? Like, I want her to nose up, but she doesn't really want to do it. She wants to weeble and wobble and kind of keep that nose down. Let me see if I can't get her nosed up and see if we can get her suborbital just like we did the other plane, just to see what's happening. That's that. And we're going to watch something this time. This right here, intake air, is important. That's how much air is coming in that intake on the front of the thing. Two things affect that. Number one, how fast I'm going. The faster I'm going, apparently now I'm getting fire in the intake. The faster I'm going, the more intake air I can get. Number two, the thickness of the atmosphere. As you can see, the higher we go, the thinner the atmosphere gets, and that intake air starts to fall down. I am just going to toss her suborbital again here to see what we can do. You can hear that engine spool down. Look at that intake air go down. And the less air I have, look at that. We made it all the way up to almost 30,000 feet before this engine cut off. There she went right there at 30,000 feet. So even this plane, with the center of lift, I say that all the time, the weeble wobble thing. Even this plane, with the center of lift well behind it, was able to go suborbital for us. Apoap's about the same. So, I wonder if we could do a better job. Remember, what we did is we wanted to set the node up there, and we wanted to circularize her. Like that. So that we could get an orbit. That's pretty close to an orbit. But again, because there's no air in space, we've got fuel, but we don't have any oxidizing agent. We cannot light this engine until we come back down. That's a problem. We need to go back and take her back to the drawing board. So, I had a couple different ideas over there on how to fix this. I'm going to fix it a simple way first, using the using those little engines. What are they? The 78S's, the little baby engines, and then I will show you a different way to fix this plane. So we said, let's go ahead and put her back the way she was. There's our lift. There's our mass. Let's grab these things. Let's put her right like that. That's about where she was. That looks pretty good. Again, that center of lift is high because we've got this tail so high in the air. If we took that tail off, the center of lift would be right there. We need the tail for control surfaces. Zeet McFeet and Elkorin. Welcome to the Academy, and thanks for the follow, y'all. We are doing space planes this evening, and we're talking about the basic concepts that we need to understand in order to design a plane that will get us into space. There is that. I think I'll put it back a little bit more. It looks a little ridiculous. The thing is, I don't need to make a cool looking plane. I just need to make a plane that goes. Could I fix it by putting these tails down a little bit lower? Oh, yes, I could. 2x symmetry. And that actually looks pretty darn good right there. I like that little plane. So, our problem was that we did not have a rocket engine. We had the engine, the turbojet engine on the plane, which is an air-breathing engine, requires intake air. We did not have a rocket engine to actually burn in space. That's why we couldn't circularize the orbit. That means that I need to add rocket engines to this thing. How can I do that? Well, I can come over here. I can get me a little rocket engine. I'm just going to choose a little baby rocket engine here. Doesn't have to be much. In fact, I wonder if we could circularize her. Did I say it wrong? Did I say the name wrong there? I apologize. If I did not say the name right there, El Corin. So let's put these engines on here and see what we can do. I've already got that. Oh, I missed one thing there. I'll come back to that. How can I put these engines on? I think if I get a little strut that looks a little bit like this. Also, I think I caught brain fried over there. There we go. We'll put those little struts on there. That gives us a good mounting point for our engines. We'll put the engines on. Now we have two little engines. That's good. What are we missing? We're missing that oxidizer. Remember we talked about we needed the oxidizer. So this tank here only carries jet fuel. It carries 150 units of jet fuel only. How could I carry some oxidizer? I've got a couple different options. One would be to add another more different tank. Where are you at now? Could we put some of these on here? I think we could. We could go like that. And we could, oops, apparently not. I have apparently taken it up. Let's see if we can't see how much delta V that thing gets. Again, Kerbal Engineer, I love it. I use it all the time. There is a Kerbal Engineering node. It's going to tell us when we disable this engine how much delta V we have. Wow. 102 delta V. That is not going to be enough to circularize us. That is definitely not going to circularize us. I do see questions coming over in the chat, and when I get a break in between scenes, I will go over and address those questions. That's not going to do us. Let's see. Can I put that there? 52 delta V. That's not good. Let's go ahead and do 2x symmetry. Maybe if I stack some more of those things on, is that going to help us? 293, 381, 466, 547, 624, 689. I mean, we were able to put some more delta V on there by doing that, but those little tanks carry so little. They just don't carry very much fuel, and adding all those parts is not the best way to get this done. Let's see if we can't solve it this way. What if we take the wings off? What if we put the engineer up here? What if we take off the tail and the this and the pod like that? And instead of using this tank, which only carries 150 units of liquid fuel, let us go over here and grab something that's about the same size, but also carries oxidizer. Since this is a rocket fuel engine, it carries both the liquid fuel and the oxidizer. The cool thing about that is that the jet engine can actually use the liquid fuel out of the rocket engine tank. So it's got the liquid fuel in there, just like this one had the liquid fuel. Come on now. There we go. What's keeping me from doing that? It's that part, isn't it? There we go. This one just had 150 units of liquid fuel. This one has 180 units of delta fuel and 220 oxidizer. That's probably going to be too much, honestly. Let's have a look here. But let's put her back together. There's that. Let's put our wings back on. Like that. Let's put our tail back on. One of them. We don't need two tails. Like that. Now we've got those little engines, and we've got that. It says we got 1,500 meters per second delta V. That's not too shabby. I think that that is going to get us orbital. Let me do this. It looks like our wings ended up a little bit too far back. 2x symmetry, please. Right like that. Again, I'm just lining up that center of lift just a little bit behind the center of mass. That doesn't look right. I do think that that will feed fuel, but I think I'm going to just make her prettier like this. Every now and then, you know me, we make things, we want them to work, but we also want them to be slightly aesthetically pleasing. I will go ahead and clip a couple things here. Is that the small one? Negatory. That's certainly not the small one. Where's that little small nose cone? Is there a little small nose cone? Is that it? Nope. Is that it? I thought there was a baby nose cone somewhere. Maybe I'm wrong. That? Oh, no, it's that one right there. Yes. Ah, whatever. We don't need that. Let's just toss some fuel lines in there and see how we do. Fuel lines. I actually don't need these fuel lines, but again, I want to make it look kind of cool. I'm going to slap a fuel line here. I'm going to make it go down to there. Now we've got fuel lines that look like they're feeding fuel to the rocket engines. Let us see how this puppy flies. I think the last thing, we don't have any power generation. So I'm going to slap just a little power generation like that and like that. And some power generation like that and like that. And let us see if this puppy here will go to space. So, we've got that, we've got that, we've got that. Delta V, atmospheric, excelente. Let's see how this goes. Save it. Let's call this the, potentially spacier plane. The potentially spacier plane. Again, I've got all the ingredients here. I've got lift for atmosphere flight. I've got liquid fuel for atmospheric air-breathing engines. I've got the atmospheric air-breathing engine. I've got an air intake. I've got the command module, and I've got control surfaces both on the wing and up here. I do know that I don't have rudder control. I am keeping this plane simple. You could make a rudder control on there, but I do not think I need it. Let's see how this goes. Let's see how this goes. I'm going to click save. I'm going to take her out of the launch pad, and as it's lowing, I'm going to drink some Dr. Pepper and look at questions, because there is a lot of chat activity. 64 people. Everybody that's come in, thank you for joining us for Kerbal Space Academy. We are doing Spaceplanes 101, Spaceplanes Intro to Spaceplanes, I guess. I do understand that the spaceplane that I have up on the screen here is not the fanciest, most impressive spaceplane you've ever need. We are trying to keep it simple so that we can cover the basic concepts, the parts of the spaceplane, the balance of the spaceplane, the brakes on the spaceplane, so that the spaceplane wheels stop going around and around. This is a very simple spaceplane, and we are trying to use it to illustrate some of the basic spaceplane concepts. So, we're going to build a bigger one after this. Let us see if I missed any questions while this puppy sits on the runway. Scroll it on up, boss. How to jump back to previous versions of Kerbal Space Program. I think somebody got you there. If you go to the Kerbal Space Program website and you have an account with him, you can download previous versions. All you do is you install it into a different version. That'll get you back to previous versions. These new Spaceplane Plus mods, there's some really freaking awesome looking spaceplane pieces that are coming out in it. And honestly, when that comes out, I will probably get more into spaceplanes myself. Just because some of those spaceplane parts that are coming out in 0.25, not quite sure when it's going to be released. But those parts look freaking amazing. They look awesome. Stream thing, lower thrust, yeah, we're going to have less. 50, bad paper airplane, yeah, right. Fly through the loops, alright, we got all that. Alright, I got that. Snap that, dude, Icebox. Brain Fried, welcome. 100% making this my career mode, nice. What do I do if the plane has more than one Aha, Gav. You ask a very good question. Because you are exactly right. As the fuel drains out of that tank, the center of mass will move around. When we build the more complex spaceplane, I will show you how to handle that. That is an excellent question right there for sure. Let's see here. We will get that on the more complicated plane. This one I'm keeping it simple. It's just got the one tank, and I've got the middle of that one tank really close to the center of mass. I'll point that out next time I get in the hangar. Let's see here. Tell the gender of the plane. You look up its skirt. What are those little orange bent ones? The little orange bent ones. Yeah, we could do it with those bent ones. We could do the orange ones too. That would work. Let's see here. How do you hack things to the moon? I think somebody got you there with HyperEdit. I've never used it. I've never installed it, so I can't help you, and I never will be able to help you with HyperEdit. If you want to land something on the moon, you can totally hang out for Kerbal Space Academy Moon Landing, because we do that on a regular basis, once a week. Get a rover to the moon. We also have a Kerbal Space Academy session on rovers that go to the moon. So if you want to join me for that one, follow me on Twitter, and I will tweet before I do that session. It has that. Well, excellent. Rar. Moderate. Yes, excellent. Kerbal Slayer. Kerbal Slayer. Seriously? I don't slay that many Kerbals, honestly. Chill. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything else. Do I think I'll have enough Delta V? It only takes about 100 or 80 Delta V to return to Kerbin, so I think we're going to be good on that return. More famous courses. Hectic. Seriously, dude? Your games are really cool, though. I like seeing a freaking Dance of the Necrosmancer or whatever that is. Hey, Hex Hunter. Thanks for the follow. Welcome to the Academy. Mance of the Decro Derper or whatever that game you play is, dude. Let's see here. I don't even care. Properly. Let us see. You mean a week ago. Seriously, guys. Seriously. Let's get this plane flying here. I think I got all the questions out of chat there. Can somebody catch that for the Freud there? Delta V stands for change of velocity. And that is basically how much I can change my velocity. If I'm going 0 and I want to be going more than 0, oops, what are we going to have to do? We're going to have to put these in 2 separate stages. I will show you how to put them in 1 stage later. If I'm going 0 meters per second and I want to be going 100 meters per second, it would require me 100 meters per second of delta V to go from 0 to 100 meters per second. It's basically... Alright, what's going on there? Why did she not throttle up? Blocked by... What? What's going on here? What am I missing? Oh, the thrust limiter. Hehe. Now we're good. Had the thrust limiter set down. The trick is, if you are going 0 meters per second and you want to go 100 meters per second, and then you want to stop going 100 meters per second, and you want to change yourself and get back to 0 meters per second, that's not 100 meters per second of delta V. You actually need 200 meters per second of delta V. I need to change from 0 to 100, and then I need to change from 100 back to 0. So in order to perform that maneuver, I would need 200 meters per second of delta V. That's what delta V stands for. It's basically how far you can get going with the fuel or thrust that you have. Let us see. Let us see. I always talk a little bit fast. It's all that Dr. Pepper I drink. Mance of the Necroderper. Yeah, I fixed it, CNC Master. I'll show that how to. I'll show how to set that up. Let's see what else I got here. SSTO kick Miller time. Wow, I'm flying through some cloud cover apparently. This is a very, very simple spaceplane Miller time. We are really just going over the basic concepts for the first half of our stream here. I've got another 10 minutes where we're going to be working with this plane. Then I'm going to spend an hour building a more complicated plane and show you how to resolve some of the issues that come up when you have a lot more complicated plane. This one is really simple so that we can focus on the core concepts to the plane. And you can see that is basically what we're doing here. Look at that thrust. We're getting it done. Everybody knows this is not exactly the correct spaceplane trajectory. I am not doing it exactly right. I will explain that in a minute. In fact, what I probably want to do is nose down a little bit. And I want as much velocity as I can. I want to see what my apoapsis is going to be. Wow. Sam Hart, Greg1277, welcome to the Academy. Thanks for enrolling. We do Kerbal Space Academies on a very regular basis. And I do appreciate the follow. Also follow me on Twitter if you want to get tweeted in advance as to what session I'm going to be doing each night. I try to do one Kerbal Space Academy session each night. So here we are going into space. We still have a little bit of thrust. We're out of intake air, but that engine's still pushing a little bit, and she flamed out, but we had some good velocity. Let's see if we're going to be able to get into orbit. Wow. Instead of 108, that apoapsis is only 58. What did we do? I think we made this plane a lot heavier. Because we did not. We just added that big fuel tank. And remember, that big fuel tank is a lot heavier than, apoapsis please, that big fuel tank that carries both oxidizer and liquid fuel is a whole heck of a lot heavier than the other fuel tank that only carries the liquid fuel. Let's see what we can do that says that we need. Look how I'm having to do this. I'm going to shut down this engine. It's no good to us anymore. I'm going to light the next stage. Let me see if I can't get my apoapsis up there. Alright, the apoapsis is going up. I like that. I am using my rocket engines now. I ran out. I appreciate everyone telling me what I did wrong. I definitely know I'm doing things wrong. But we ran out of intake air. We're now using the oxidizer out of this tank, and we're blowing off these engines using the oxidizer and the liquid fuel. Let me see if I can't get that apoapsis up to 75, like that. I'm going to come over here and plan my node. Let's delete this node. Let's just see if we can get this puppy to space. Not sure we're going to be able to, but we will see. Put it on the apoapsis. Give it some prograde delta V. Let's see how much prograde delta V we need. That's too high. Click on it, make it stick. Go back to the node, pull it on down till it's about 75. Oh, that's 72. 73, 74, 75. Let's see if we can circularize with this little simple space plane. It says it's going to be a minute 22 burn. It's 45 seconds right now. That means we need to start burning basically right now. Let's fire this up. It says we have 1300 delta V in the tank. We only need 1000, so this space plane is going to go into orbit. In fact, we probably need we probably had just about the right amount. Let's see. Ooh, dude, Jolt Cola. Jolt Cola. That is like old school, man. I used to drink me some Jolt Cola. Do you ever remember the original energy drink that was dedicated towards gamers? That mana potion stuff? It came in those little mana potion bottles. That stuff was disgusting, honestly. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to fly this plane into a circular orbit. I need about 500 more meters per second. I've got 789 in the tank, so we should be good to go. Again, I'm just using my rocket engines here, and I'm going circular. We're generating power, aren't we? Yes, we are. That's good. We've got 300 more meters per second to go in the burn. So let's see how she does it. Honestly, it looks like we're thrusting a little bit off the center of mass. See how it tilts me nose up? Is it giving it? It's giving a little pitch control. We're not exactly thrusting against the center of mass. We're about to get a camera change here because we're about to get an orbit. There's a camera change, and that's an orbit. Wow, that's actually a really good orbit. Let's go see what it looks like. Not particularly circular, with a 109 apoapsis and a 76 periapsis, but that little space plane with only, how many parts is it? Gosh, with only 27 parts, it works balls. Balls, dude, that's old school. Dude, hey, Hectic, man, thanks for stopping by. Hey, if you like other types of games like FTL or Crypt of the Manso-Nancer dancing guy that dances on skeletons or whatever that game is, click on Hectic's name there. Give Hectic a follow. He's a friend of mine. He streams FTL. He streams Kerbal Space Program. He streams Necromancer or whatever that game is called. Give him a follow if you like those types of games. If you get a little bit sick to listen to me talk about Kerbal Space Academy, you want to see something else, click on Hectic's name and give him a follow because he's awesome too. So here we are in space. What do we have left over? 164 meters per second of delta V. That is honestly just enough. Ooh, but look at that. It's limited by not the oxidizer. It's limited by the liquid fuel. So could we deorbit ourselves? Yes, we could. Would we have enough liquid fuel left to fly back to the Space Center? Probably not. We're not going to have enough fuel left because this plane took a lot more to get into orbit because we made it a lot heavier. So we were able to get... Oh, we could also take that monoprop out. We don't need that monoprop in the cockpit. That'll change our weight a little bit. The other thing we could do was put a little bit less oxidizer. Not too much less, like 20 less oxidizer. That's not going to save us that much weight. Let's see. What else could we do? You know what we could do? We could fly a lot better profile, I think. We could try to keep our air intakes going for longer. That's another thing we could do. Let's go ahead and revert this puppy. Take it back to the spaceplane hangar. See if we can make some changes here to tweak it a little bit. But is it a space plane? Yes. Did we get into orbit? Yes. Did it fly okay? Yes. Was it a totally dirty, a totally dirty launch profile and that sort of stuff? Yes, it was totally dirty. I'm going to admit. I'll be the first to admit. What can we do? More air. That's that. Oh, 0.08 versus 0.1 with the same mass. Okay, we could use a different air intake. So let's toss this air intake on it. Does it look hideous? Yes. Will it get us a little bit more air? Yes. I'd hate to be the pilot of that thing. In fact, let's put it upside down. There, that's a good scoop, I think. What else can we do to get more air? We could actually add more intakes. You've got these little radial air intakes. I don't want to make this thing look too wacky. I don't like it when space planes look too wacky. But I will see if I can't spam a couple more intakes on here. How is that? Look at those. That's going to scoop up some more air. That's pretty good. That means that we'll be able to keep that engine going for longer. What else can I do to make this... no, Icebox has still got the sword there. Manco Nancro Spanker. What else can I do to make this thing get further into space? If there are any ideas in chat, toss them over there. We could carry more fuel. That means we're going to be heavier. We could actually probably take a little bit of oxidizer out. What if I just take 20 oxidizer out? 22. That'll make us a little bit lighter. Not too terribly different, though. Remember what's happening here. As we're flying, we're sucking fuel out of this tank. We're taking the liquid fuel out. And you know the Kerbal Space Program does the balancing for you. Hey, Suddenly Derp, welcome to the Academy. Thanks for the follow. As you burn the rocket engine, Kerbal Space Program balances it for you. It takes X amount of fuel for X amount of oxidizer, right? Whenever I set this tank up like this, I take out some of that oxidizer. If I were to run this completely on rocket engines, I would run out of oxidizer before I ran out of the liquid fuel. The trick is, when I'm flying in the atmosphere, instead of oxidizer, I'm using air intake air, and I'm not going to be using the oxidizer. So when I try to balance my plane, I need to say, all right, I need a little bit more liquid fuel than oxidizer, just so that I can use that liquid fuel to get up out of the atmosphere and then have the correct balance, the correct ratio of liquid fuel to oxidizer once I get up there. No use in carrying extra oxidizer you're not going to be burning, just because once you run out of liquid fuel, all the oxidant is not going to help you. Let us see. We did that. Somebody said, I think you got my back there. Take out the monoprop. Gav says, yes. That gives us a little bit more. Not too terribly much, but every little bit helps. What else can we do? I wonder how much that added to our weight. Let's check our center of mass. There it is. Let's check our center of lift. There it is. That still looks pretty good. We put these more air intakes on. Does this really add a whole heck of a lot of weight up here? That looks ridiculous. I've never seen a plane that looks like that. Another smaller tank and a jet fuel tank for that. The Atmos Spitzer? Atmos Spicer? I'm not even sure what that word is. Aardvark? This plane looks ridiculous, but we could give it a fly. I'm trying to have a bicycle plane. Just lose one wheel. I think, aren't the wheels massless? I do believe those wheels are massless. I am not sure. 0.5 tons, that actually is a lot of mass. Let's see if it changes the weight of the plane. For certainly not one of our 5 tons. 20% of our weight is these landing gear. Yeah, no, they're massless. Do you see how that didn't change? So when I take them off, my mass doesn't change. That means that these have physics significance of 0. So putting those gear on there does not screw anything up. Levelicious, welcome. We are trying to make a space plane here. We've actually got a space plane made. It's ugly as sin, but let's see if I can't save it. Anything else? We had that. We had that. We took some oxidizer out. Not too much. Those things are good. We've got that engine. Is there another engine? No, I don't think this engine is going to be as good. 1.0 versus 1.2. Let's give her a fly. Let's give her a fly and see how this plane flies. Hopefully, we have more air intake so we can start going. Oh, I mixed the word oxidizer and atmosphere. Well, they are kind of the same, you know. We use the atmosphere for the oxidizer. Let's give this thing a launch. Let me see if I missed anything over there. It doesn't look like I did. I took out the monoprop. I got that. Another smaller tank. I'm trying... You may find that putting more and more tanks on there actually gets you less into space because it makes it heavier and heavier. Solid booster straight up, then launch from there. Yeah, we could do that. Needs a thermometer because everyone needs to know the temperature. You are definitely an OG. The Freud said maybe broader wings. We could have tried that. We could have tried to put some more lift on it. However, right now we're running out of thrust. We want higher thrust whenever we get up there. So anything, I think we're good on the lift. Anything that adds mass of any sort is not going to help us. We need more thrust to weight. Oh, look what I didn't set up. I didn't set up the action groups. I will talk to you about the action groups after we give this guy a fly here. And the thrust limiter again. Way to go, DOS. There we go. All right, Atmospizer. Yo, 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 Darkstar Games, welcome. We are doing Spaceplanes on Kerbal Space Academy this evening. Wow, she already took off. Here we go. We can do a drop tank, I guess. Let's go ahead and go for our 45. She still feels stable. I still like how she flies. She's not having trouble like we had before when that center of lift was behind it. Action groups, I know. I totally freaking hosed the action groups, man. Gav. I like the way Gav thinks. I actually like the way Gav thinks. I do like the way Gav thinks. Let us see here. We've got more intake air. Instead of, what was it? It was like 0.2 or something. Now we have 4.0, an air fuel bomb. Let's see how this works. We've got these air intakes. And let's burn her at a 45-ish degree angle here. I mean, this plane looks hideous. Honestly, it looks hideous. I'm not going to lie. It looks terrible. Spaceman Spiff, welcome back. A lot of regulars coming here. I really do appreciate. I appreciate the new people. I appreciate the regulars. I appreciate all the follows from Suddenly Derp and Mike 082820. I swear, some people toss their names in there just because they toss all those letters and numbers and stuff in just to make it hard for streamers to say their name on the stream. Let's see what I can do here. I just want a lot. I want a whole heck of a lot of velocity. I would like to be going very, very fast. Well over 1,000 when I run out of fuel. Air intake, actually. Tweeto-chan, thanks for the follow. Thanks for enrolling in the academy. Weigh 4 kid 29 point new Kerpounds. Let's see here. Anybody that's just joining us, we do Kerbal Space Academy streams on a regular basis just about every night. Not out of intake air yet. That's a good sign. Tonight we're doing Spaceplanes 101. I know this isn't the most impressive spaceplane you've ever seen. The entire point is to go over the basic concepts of spaceplanes. I hear the engine starting to throttle down. But look at that. We got a lot more. Look at that apoapse. That apoapse is better. That apoapse is a lot better. Wow, we still haven't even lost the engine. Now we lost the engine. Look at that apoapse, y'all. That's what we wanted. 1,400 on the orbit and 100 on the apoapse. That's freaking amazing. We talk about Kerbal Space Academy on a regular basis. I do streams for Kerbal Space Academy just about every night. We always cover a different topic. If you're interested in what those topics are, you can follow me on the Twitters. I always tweet out in advance what I'll be covering. Tonight, Spaceplanes. Tomorrow will be something different. We talked about Advanced Space Station. We've done orbital construction. We've done lifters. We've done landers. We've done mooner landings and trips. We've done farming science. We've done interplanetary transfers. Everything. The entire point of Kerbal Space Academy is I'm here live. I'm talking on this here microphone to you. You can ask me questions. If I go over something that doesn't make sense, you can always ask me to repeat it, to explain it. Just let me know. The entire point is we do this live. We make it up as we go. There's 102 and 98. And I want people to be able to ask questions because that's the one thing that you can't do on YouTube. You cannot ask questions of the YouTuber when they're doing the YouTubing. All you can do is sit there and hope that you get it from the video. Here in my live stream, you can ask me questions. So, while we're waiting for this coconut-laden swallow. Is that an African or a European swallow? A minute 36 on the burn. About half of that is about 45 seconds. 46, 47, 48 seconds. So we're going to start this burn at 48 seconds and see how we do. We'll see how much delta V we have left over. There we're lighting it up. Let's see how this plane does. And we shall see how she goes. Again, we have these hideous air intakes. Again, just sucking that air in. We didn't want any air to get to the wings, apparently. We only wanted the air to be sucked into the a freedom. I don't even know. What is chat talking about over there? I have no clue. You take fuel. Oh, yeah. No, you can totally take fuel out of the tanks right there in the VAB. That is what we do all the time, man. It's a great way to balance things. It's a great way to launch a larger structure into orbit with a lower weight. However, when I launch those space stations, I definitely like to use the fuel tankage that they have to store fuel for the engines. Maybe contemplate just slapping a big motor on the end and filling up the space station's tank and using it to do a self-orbital insertion. The weight of a Kerbal, is that how we've got on this swallow-laden coconut thing? What's the average wing beat ratio of a coconut? And is it a laden coconut or is it a swallow coconut? I don't even know anymore. Let's see how we do here. I'm going to put a circular. Again, we spent a little bit more delta V. We're going to have like 400 delta V left over. That's good. We're about to get a camera flip. That means we've gone orbital. Flip me. There we go. And then we are about to get a end of burn. 109.96. Good enough. We are orbital. The spacier space plane is here. And we are in space. That's freaking cool. We have 452 meters per second of delta V left. Look, we've got a lot more liquid fuel left. Still a little bit too much oxidizer. We could carry a little bit less oxidizer, I think. So, what do we say here? Is it hung between the dorsal guiding? Oh my gosh. El Corin, I am hoping in the near future to start doing some giveaways specifically for people that don't have Kerbal Space Academy. I may have something along the lines of quizzes or something like that, and if you don't have Kerbal Space Academy, you could get a code to get it. So if you really like this game, keep on following me, keep hanging out with me. I do hope in the near future to begin getting some code giveaways or something like that here at the Academy so that people who don't have it can play it, because it's freaking awesome. Anyways, we've got, did I miss anything? Weight of the Kerbal, da-da-da-da-da. If I could go to space, I am in space. Let's see here. Here we have our space plane. Bill Kerman is in it, and we are in space. We have 452 meters per second of delta V to play around with. Could we rendezvous with the station? I believe we could. I believe we could. That's the KSA Station Core, the Orbital Hilton. There's where Jeb is. Easy peasy station cheesy ship. Huh. What we're going to do is just go ahead and revert this flight. So, if you have any questions on what I've done so far about the basics of the spaceplane, we do know that the spaceplane that I built is not the most complicated. The lime on the coconut, delicious Dr. Pepper. Chat is going crazy over there. If you have any questions about what I've talked about so far, ask me in chat. You can say the word DOS, it'll highlight it in red. You can say the word question, and it'll highlight it in red. That gets my attention. What if we could go into space in real life? We totally go into space in real life. I would like to go into space. I would totally like to go into space in real life. I would do it. I would sign up in a heartbeat. It would be freaking awesome. This is actually the confirmedly spacier plane. The confirmedly spacier plane because it went into space. Save. And there you have it. That's all it really took. Just to do a recap, if anybody has questions that they're asking over there, I talked about a lot of the different things of this spaceplane. I talked about the fuel requirements. This here, turbojet engine, is an air-breathing engine. It requires two things to run. It requires intake air, and it requires liquid fuel. We have liquid fuel here in this tank. That's important. It's the fuel that it runs. We get the intake air, the oxidizing agent, out of the air intakes, which I have slapped all over the front of the plane here. Oops, I just broke my plane. Way to go, DOS. That's how that engine runs. However, when that engine gets us up into space, it runs out of intake air. It can no longer fly anymore. So what we have is these little rocket engines. And these little rocket engines actually use oxidizer out of the tank here. They use liquid fuel and oxidizer to get us running, gives us some delta V when we're actually in space. No intake air to use. We're in space. It's a vacuum. We need both of our fuel agents there so that we can toss them out the back of our plane. So that is what we talked about with the plane. We also talked about the center of lift. There's our center of mass. There's our center of lift. When designing a plane, if you want it to be flyable, you want it to be stable, all we need is to put that center of lift just behind the center of mass, like we have right here. We tried some planes where the center of lift was way in front. They were uncontrollable. They flipped up out of control constantly. We tried some planes where the center of lift was well behind. That didn't work out as well. It was really hard for us to get nosed up. It kept wanting to nose down. And we talked about the control surfaces. We've got control surfaces here on the wing. We talked about the lift of the plane. One thing that we didn't get too terribly far into here was the amount of lift we're generating. KSC doesn't actually tell us how much lift we're generating. We just have to play it by ear. But if I don't have any questions on that, remove the Kerbals from the Kerr taxi. We could get there with that design. Yeah, we could. Made a memorial to the space movie. Oh my gosh. What I'm going to do is try to build a larger space plane here. So if you have some things that you want on the space plane, type it in chat. I'm going to try to start this out as some sort of crew carrier. We want it to carry a crew so that they can fly up to the orbital Hilton and do a crew rotation. We've got about 50 minutes left in the episode here, so I'm going to spend about 50 minutes working on this bigger space plane. Conformity, space your plane, save, thank you for your service. Let's start from scratch on a much bigger plane. Make that Vito, Das Boot should be the name of the ship. Make the Vito. I don't really get the Vito thing there. Lights, yes. We need lights. Oh, VTOL. VTOL. V-T-E-O-L. Game Boy 9066. If you look at my channel description, scroll down just a little bit. You don't have to see my ugly mug on the screen. If you scroll down, you can actually see my mod list where I've got both a list of the mods and all of the links to the forum posts on the Kerbal forums where you can go get more information or download the mods. How to make a plane to dock into a station. That's exactly what we're doing next, Duracell. We're going to make a plane that docks with the station. Orbital Hilton, the Kerbrothel. Hey, whatever its unofficial name is, I don't know. VTOL, I believe, is V-T-O-L, standing for vertical takeoff and landing. Not sure where the E would come from. Can I get to 100 tons to space with a plane? That would be a good challenge to do. I'm not sure you could do it. I've never tried it. But maybe. I'm sure somebody could. I don't know. We may need some different parts or something. Let us build a bigger space plane. That's not going to work. I'm sorry. Or could I make it work? I could probably make it work. But I don't think it's going to work. Let's go with this ugly mug. We know that that's totally ugly. Let's go with a part that looks a little bit like this. We are at a loss for good parts. I wanted to make this a crew transfer plane, so I'm going to put a hitchhiker on it. This plane is going to look wacky. Actually, we're going to see how it looks. I'm not sure how it's going to look. I also need a docking port. I'm going to slap a docking port up here like that. We're getting there. We're going to need some fuel. Oh, almost always too much fuel when it comes down to this. Let's see what we got. Can't do da-da-da-da-da. I did not know. Manage an airline. VTOL. Let's see. We've got that. Let's see what we can do. I need more plane. I wonder. I may make a big mistake here, because that's a big engine. Not too bad, though. Not too bad. Can I put one of these things on? How will this look? I am not sure. We will find out, though. Should I put this? Nah, we shouldn't put that. We could always... I don't know. We're just tossing together a plane here. Where's that structural piece? There it is right there. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but we're going to give it a try. Where's that long piece? There we go. This plane looks terrible. My plane's not the most inspired place planes in the world. But let's see what we can do with this. Let's toss some wing segments on here. Oh wow, I really wish that I could keep those windows open, but I'm not going to worry about it really. That's that. This looks like some sort of space aardvark or something, honestly. Let's put that out there. That looks a little ridiculous. Not very space planey looking. What if I put this here? Could I do it like that? I don't know. I mean, it doesn't look terrible. It doesn't look too terrible. Let me put some reaction control in there. We all love reaction control. It's shaping up. I'm not sure. The Stinger. Yes, we'll call this the crew Stinger or something. We've got that thing in there, but I fear that this is not going to be the spaciest plane. Let's start slapping some stuff in there. Here we go. Can I put it right on there? Oh, loop. Not so much. I don't want it on there. What I may need to do, I want it to clip into there. Nope, other way. Nope, that's not the right way. Alright, that is not the clipping we want whatsoever. Let me see if I can do it this way. 2x symmetry. How does that clip? Oh, that's pretty darn close right there, honestly. That is pretty darn close. Let's go with it. I don't even know if this thing's going to fly. We are just playing around. Let's see here. Maybe I should put some canards. Everybody loves good canard, alright? We'll put some canards on it. That looks hideous. Oh, we definitely don't. Let's use the other canards. Maybe that won't work at all. Who knows? That... I don't know. We'll start checking out the center of mass and stuff like that. I don't know if this thing's going to fly. It may not fly. I don't know. I didn't make it in advance. I'm making it up as I go. Could we get very far with these rapiers? I don't know. Maybe some ideas in the chat on the use of rapiers or not. I know some people love them. I know some people hate them. Let's see what they give us. It's clipping with something. Let's put it out here, sort of deal, so that it doesn't clip, and then see if I can't get this attached. That's good. And then see if I can't pull it up like that. Nope, that's not what I wanted at all. Why can't you just be flat? Why you gotta do that to me? Nope, that is way up. I don't know. Should we make like a 4? Levelicious, I totally saw that there, and I do owe you a Twitch message. You are correct. And I will get that done after the stream here. Thank you for reminding me, by the way. I don't know. Looks pretty cool to me, honestly. It's got the engines. We could totally put some air intakes up there. Again, we've got engines on there. We've got fuel on there. We need air intake. I am using a special type of engine. These engines are actually dual mode. They will run... Ooh, should we make an orbital X-Wing? I'm not sure I could pull that off right now. Let's start with this. These engines, remember before I had the turbojet engine and I had the rocket engine, 2 separate engines. These Rapiers are special engines. They're dual mode. They will actually run both ways. They will use as an air intake engine, an air breathing engine, or they will run as a rocket engine. An overweight, it's like a fat X-Wing with only one wing without the X. Let's see here. I am going to try these engines. We'll see how they do. Where is the nice... I should put a freaking... Yeah! What? I heard you like thrust. I heard you like lift. That looks hideous. Let's see here. Hey, CNC Master, the problem is you're probably in a career mode and you need to research the Kerbal Engineer modules by going to the research center, the R&D facility. You do have to unlock them before you can use them, and I would bet you dollars to donuts that that's what's going on. Why you can't get that those parts working. Oh, come on now. Nap. Seriously? Yeah, okay, that looks like a place we shouldn't be able to put it, huh? Nope. Wrong. Incorrect. Oh, man. This happens sometimes. You just got to put it on one side with 1x symmetry, and then put it back to 2x symmetry. For some reason, the game thinks that's cool. Now we've got some of that. What other shenanigans can we pull? Oh, I wonder if we could make like a... need to take, oh, yes, the engineer part. Good call, good call. Let's toss the engineer part right on here. Like that. Excellent. It's honestly not a lot of delta V, but I do believe we need some fuel lines. Let's toss some fuel lines in there. And again, we're just putting this together. I'm playing around just trying to get a basic design down. That's the wrong way, DOS. I am just trying to get a basic design down, and then I am going to go and try to balance it and do all that sort of stuff. I have no guarantees that this thing is going to go to space in the time allotted, because I am making it up as I go. Let's see here. Where did I put that one? Oh, let's just do something really easy like that. Oh, okay. That's cool. And then like this, from there to there, I think, right? 2x symmetry, though. And I didn't do 2x symmetry. Such a noob. There we go. That's 2x symmetry, and then we will do that, like that, up to there, like that. That's 2x symmetry, right? Meh. Okay, what are we doing now? Wow, we've got 2399 delta V. This is a pretty fat little space plane. I don't like to enable part clipping. I definitely don't like to... Dude! Slim! What's going on? Caboose, I don't like to enable part clipping. I find that it encounters some... it creates some phantom forces that I don't like dealing with. It makes the plane unstable sometimes, and it causes me a lot of agony. So I try not to do the part clipping, honestly. Let's see here. Where's my center of mass? That's good. Where's my center of lift? Little too far back. Little too far back. Could I move this up? Oh, I could totally move those things up. That would be one way to do it. Hey, DSM 20T. Not a bad motor. Is that a motor reference? I think that's a motor reference. But thanks for the follow. Welcome to the Academy. We are building a space plane here. We're trying to get her into orbit. No guarantees that's actually going to happen. I am totally playing around. That center of lift is a little far back. What could I do? Oh, I could extend the front a little bit. Let's try that. Let's, you know, everybody loves a good battery. We don't need that much battery on this thing. Oh, we could use some RCS, but probably not that much RCS. I can install some. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Oh, no, we would need the RCS to be on the tail. All right, I can do that. I can totally put the RCS near the back. Again, I'm just trying to balance the plane here. Trying to get that center of mass near the center of lift. Also trying to get the center of mass near the center of the fuel tanks. Move your wings back up. Dust, maybe connect the canard to the wing. If we put the canard on the wing up here, that would move our center of mass back. I'm actually going to add some weight to the back over here, and that's going to move the center of mass back. Where are you at? I never know where to click. Could I do something like this? That definitely moves the center of mass back. That's an interesting place to put the RCS. Normally I wouldn't think of putting it there. What else can we do? Somebody said move the wing forward. We could do that. The ex-wife wing. Move the back wings. If we move the Dude Blitz machine. Thanks for the follow. Welcome for the welcome. Thanks for the academy. Welcome for the follow. I'm not exactly a professional streamer, I tell you what. Oh, look at that. That's actually a really good idea. Just moving those things. Actually, if I change it, yes. That looks not so great. I would like the center of mass. Thanks for the follow. Everybody that just followed. Add another set of back wings below the current back wings. That would move the center of lift back. And what I'm trying to do is get that center of lift move forward. I really want, instead of moving the lift around, I would really like the center of mass to move back because I want the center of mass to be near the center of the fuel tanks. That means as the fuel drains out of the tanks, our center of mass doesn't move. That's the trick we're trying to pull there. I do like how this thing is shaping up, though. I am not sure it will have enough lift. What else could I do to move the center of mass back? I could put another fuel tank back there, but that would kind of screw with this a little bit. You know something? We're really close. We're honestly really close. What did I miss there? Move the back wings up. Yes, that would make the back wings give less lift, is what's happening. Let's put some control surfaces on this puppy. I am honestly a fan of the smaller control surfaces. Yes, that's going to be really hard to put on there. So I need to put them flat. Watch and learn here. You'll run into this a lot. You need to put your surfaces flat before you put your control surfaces on it. Up, like that. And then you can take them and put them like this. Putting those control surfaces on actually gave us more lift that back there. But we can actually put more lift up here. That's going to move us around just a little bit. There's some lift. That moved our center. Wow, we just need more mass in the back. What else can I do to put mass on the back? Make the front shorter. That would work. Like taking this part and putting it up like this. And then taking these parts off. Let's see. We're just playing around here. We're just playing around. Let's not do that, but let's maybe... Is there like a massless part or something I could use? Flaps on front wings. I've got the flaps on the front wings, but that actually moved the center of mass back. Or the center of lift back again. Spaceplane needs more cake. Flaps on front wings. You mean flaps on this or flaps on these? These aren't wings, these are actually canards, so they're going to be control surfaces in and of themselves up there. Do I have a really small part I can use? I don't think I do, which is lame. What if we... would this work? I don't know. And I will check the chat here as well. That... Meh. That didn't really make a huge difference, did it? You mean these are control surfaces, so I actually can't attach things through them. I won't be able to put control surfaces... I will? What the heck? I have never tried that before, but that doesn't make a damn bit of sense because those things are supposed to move. I'll put control surfaces on there. Let's do it. I did not think I would be able to attach them. But on an occasion, even now, I get things incorrect. Those are going to be some totally wacky control surfaces, though. That's what you were looking for? The larger shuttle type and put it directly on, that's going to drastically increase our mass. That guy's 3.62. The one we're using is 1.03. So I don't think that that's a good solution for us. Use smaller batteries in between the tanks and the 4 engines. Add flaps. There we go. Dude, Earthworm Slim, thanks for the host. Hey, if you like watching people play Euro Trucker or crash truckers into other things, click on Earthworm Slim's names there. Give him a follow. He plays Euro Trucker. He plays Kerbal Space Academy. I'll fix that in just a second. I did have an idea for it. Move the whole engine. Give Earthworm Slim a follow there because he does a freaking metric boatload of hootin' and hollering on his channel. I gotta give a hootin' and hollering shout out to Earthworm Slim there, man. But click on his name and go ahead and give him a follow because he's awesome. Alright, I've got a lot of stuff coming into chat here. I am going to have to keep this separated. I wanted some more radial intakes, and what I was kind of looking for there... Oh, did I miss a follow? Thylo. Thanks for the follow. Welcome to the Academy. What I was kind of going for was this, y'all. Look, I was going for this sort of setup, and I may not put fuel in here. Let me show you what I was thinking. I was thinking that. A little bit wacky, but then I was thinking this. That's almost a little bit too far. Let's see what we can do. I was thinking of some intake spam around there. Like, that sort of deal. And see, that kind of makes it look like a big old intake thing from the front, right? Yeah, anybody, yeah! Anybody that gives old Slim a follow there, I'm going to be hanging out with Slim later, watching him play some Euro Truck Simulator. It's freaking awesome. We have a fine old time playing Euro Truck Simulator. Let's do that. Let me see if I can't sneak these guys back in there. I don't know why they're going wacky like that. That's kind of what I was thinking there, y'all. I was thinking of making kind of a Queen's Bonnet sort of deal, and I think that looks really freaking cool, honestly. So, they're not exactly... It's something about these. Maybe I can't move them too far forward because I've got to have that docking port free. In fact, I'm a little worried about that docking port there right now. I honestly think we're really close to a winner right here, y'all. Let me see if I can't make those a little prettier. Why is it doing that? Sometimes, Kerbal Space Programs, sometimes. There we go. I like that sort of deal. I think that looks cool. What else do we need? Power generation. Let's turn this out of our way. Am I missing anything? We've got that. I kind of like that. We're going to need to go with some landing gear here. Maybe that's a little far back. If we're having trouble controlling her, we know what the problem is. We'll definitely know what the problem is. What have I missed? I could angle everything a bit differently. I think I could probably angle these a little bit more up. I mean, look at that. Like, if I do that number right there, that puts it almost right on it. That puts it almost right on it. Just angling it like that. I think that's a hideous control surface, honestly. But, geez. I'm not sure how that's going to work. I don't really feel... It's kind of like a rudder and an elevator. It's like an Eller rudder or something there. Yeah, I totally got the landing gear. I need to do the landing gear. Let's go with that. Look at that. Let's give it a try. Landing gears. We also need power generation. I've got the docking port. I'm a little concerned about that docking port. I'll just have to be a really good docker. Positive Pandas, welcome. Also just got a follow there that I think I missed. If I missed it, somebody get my back there. Add something between the docking port and the cabin. I do think I need to do that. Giat Griff, welcome to the Academy. Thanks for enrolling. We're making a space plane. We're trying to get it going here. We could always do this. Not in that order. We could always take that off, put this like this. We could put our battery up there. Maybe that's a winner. No. There's a battery. There's one of those. Actually, I kind of like that nose like that. This may look a little bit weird. I almost wish I could clip those things into there. I don't really like how that looks. How did that affect our thrust, our center of mass? Oh man, we're like so close though. I think it looks really cool. We could always, you know what we could do? We could always put that SAS module in the middle of this stuff. That would work. The nose, this is kind of what we're going to do. KSP stock does not model delta wings. So having delta wings, Positive Pandas, thanks for enrolling. Welcome to the Academy. Let's have a look here. I could do this. Let's just see how it affects things. Thwap. Thwap. Put this in the middle. Thwap. Like that. Put this like this. You know something? That may be a winner right there. That may be a winner. We've got RCS. The last thing I need to do is balance my RCS, and I'm going to do it like this. Let us see. I am going to get these little RCS bars that look like this. I'm going to come straight at the center of mass right here. Zoom in, so I'm looking kind of straight through the planes. Turn on that angle snap. That helps me get it in the middle. And then I'm going to angle these guys out towards me like that. Is that straight? Up, zoom it out. Yep, that looks good. I like it. I like it a lot. And then I am going to put some RCS thrusters on the puppy there. Just like that. Best trick ever. Wow, Marco Master also thank you for the follow. That is awesome. I appreciate you rolling in the account community. Thwap. I do appreciate you joining the Academy there. We do streams like this all the time, and they are just about always streams where you can actually learn to play KSP. Tonight we're doing Spaceplanes. We're trying to make a big old crew carrier that will be able to get us up into orbit. So we got that, we got that, we got that. We got a little bit of RCS. Not a whole heck of a lot of RCS, honestly. Let's check RCS build aid. It says that we're going to have a little bit of rotation. But then again, we are also going to be way short on fuel when we get up there, which moves our center of mass forward and will make our rotation worse. Interesting. So we need to grab these puppies. That right there. Move it in just a little bit. That didn't do jack. Oh, apparently that's telling me that my center of mass. Aha, I'm in engine mode. That is okay. Let's go with translation. Another follow from Mitsikut. Thanks for the follow. Welcome to the Academy. We're designing a spaceplane here. That looks good. I do not know why. Oh, that's our lift. We don't need the center of lift. Let's take that off. I'll totally get the gear in there. I will get the gear in there. 73 watches and rising. That's freaking awesome. Master of Aardvarks, we do phase angles. Watch for the next time for me to tweet about KSA, Kerbal Space Academy interplanetary transfers, and I will explain everything about phase angles that you could ever want to know. We do a special session on that. The Spaceplanes one is not really the greatest place to cover it. But I definitely do. Yeah, that makes sense. I definitely do sessions on that. That looks like we're pretty darn centered. I don't feel like I have a lot of RCS control authority. Let me put a little bit more in here just by putting something up here on the top like that. What do you mean I can't put it there? That looks like a fine place to put an RCS nozzle. Thank you. Same thing on the bottom. Right like that. That looks good. We're not going to have a lot of control authority in our up and down direction, and we're going to have to remember that. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. But we are going to have to remember that. Let's toss some gear on here, else people will yell me out of chat. We also need some power generation, I believe. What was it saying our engines were going to do? Engine mode. We are going to rotate around the top, so we need some sort of power generation down low. Let me get one of those RTGs. Where you at? There you go. Tuck it into the bottom here, just like that. Look at that. That actually almost exactly balanced our craft, just putting that... Look at that. Now our craft is exactly balanced. I love it. I love it. That's freaking awesome. Now we need some gear. What else do we need? What is your Twitter name? If you do a exclamation point follow. Like that. That's my Twitter name. Everybody starts spamming it. I think you have to be a channel op to use that command. I'm not sure. But that's the link. If you follow me on the Twitters, you will hear whenever I go live with different Space Academy sessions. Maybe some lights. Let's give her a little light underneath here so that we have something to dock by. That's upside down. Drat. Alright, that's okay. I can fix it. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to rotate it twice. I'm going to do that. The reason being that if I put a light here, when that thing opens up, the way those things pedal out, it will actually block the light. You learn that the hard way. You're like, why is my light not working? Oh, I see, because those doors open, and then we're just SOL. That is an ugly looking light. You know, honestly, we don't actually need the light because we could use landing gear up there, but that's ugly as sin. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie on how ugly that is, y'all. There, we'll just block some of the air intakes with it. That makes a lot of sense. Freaking brilliant. That's a good place for a light that doesn't look so terrible. Yeah, the cone there is definitely a docking port, y'all. That is why I wanted it as well. I wanted to be able to dock with the orbital Hilton using rotation. So that is why we have it there. What else? Landing gear. I keep saying landing gear. I keep failing to put landing gear on the darn thing. There's some landing gear. The important thing about landing gear, you want to have some landing gear right near your center of mass. Give me that part. There we go. So let's see if I can't get underneath her here and put some landing gear. Oh yes, right on top we'll just have the RCS fold directly into the landing gear. That actually looks terrible. I wish those landing gear were further up the side, and that is what we're going to do. I'm going to put them right like that. I am going to use that key. Nope, that key. It's always the last key. It's always the last key I try. To make these kind of more side pods than anything else. And the important thing here is that those landing gear are just behind the center of mass, right? I want those landing gear to be just behind the center of mass so that when we're taking off we can actually pivot backwards on the landing gear. What else? I could also... Oh, that's ugly. You also don't want your landing gear to be tilted at all like that. You see how those guys are tilted? Let me see if I can fix that. One more Q. Nope. Two more E's, I think. That looks about right. That looks actually fantastic. Gav tells you exactly what's going on with the lights there. Gav, that is an excellent explanation of how the lights work. I think the only other thing, we don't have a way for the Kerbals to get up into this thing to board it. We will just board them in the hangar. They cannot board on the runway. Let me grab some more gear. I'm going to do the same sort of deal here. And I'm going to put them up like this. And I'm going to use Q to straighten them out. That's not too great. We will have to see how it goes. I would really like these gear in the front to be a little bit, yes, like that. But not so much pigeon-toey. There we go. That was terrible camber. And I do want them to turn around. This is a trick you can use, although the gear are meant to work this way. Wow. You can totally, apparently, not turn them around. There we go. Turn them around. And put them that way just so that you have some gear pointing towards the front like this. So, I honestly have no clue if this is even going to fly. We may have to totally go back to the drawing board on this thing. But our center of mass is there. Our center of lift is there. That looks good. We have these huge freaking fins on the rear. Those look a little bit funny. This angle, they don't get obstructed. It's KSP physics. Oh my gosh. CNC Master, take it off, man. Thanks for hanging out for Kerbal Space Academy. We are going to try to launch this thing, is what we're going to do. It may be hideous. It may not go at all. What were we going to call this? Somebody gave me a good name earlier. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What else were we going to do? We were going to do... Dude, Marco Master, I appreciate the comment, man. I just like to talk a lot, and I'm full of it. So, let's see here. We're going to give it a fly. What was I going to name it? The Stinger. That's not bad. The Stinger. The Fugly Duckling. It was... I think we also had the Fat X-Wing. I liked the Fat X-Wing. The Fat X-Wing... Now with Stinger. Stinger. How's that? The Fat X-Wing now with Stinger. The XL Wing. Ah, that's actually better. The XL Wing. That's freaking... The XL Wing. Now with Stinger. The ex-wife wing. The Orca. I actually like the XL Wing better. Even though the wings aren't XL. We may have to make them X. Struts, I'm not sure how this thing's going to behave strutty McStrutter-wise. You know something? Let's save it. The 45 ramper. The lunch. It's time to go to lunch. While the scene loads, I am totally out of Dr. Pepper here. I am going to run and get me another Dr. Pepper. We have about 20 minutes left in the stream. Let's see if we can launch this thing. I need some Dr. Pepper. Hope you didn't miss me too much. If you're new here, you may know, or you may not know, that this stream is sponsored by Dr. Pepper. Not really. They don't give me anything. It's just the caffeine that makes me talk so fast, I think. I don't know. Alright. There we go. The XL Wing. I like it. We may actually have to make it an XL Wing. It needs struts. I don't know, the wings are sticking kind of straight out. Let's go with some brake action. You know what I didn't do? I did not, hot diggity dog, I'm a pro Dr. Pepper drinker. I did not set up the action groups. I shouldn't have to worry about it because these guys should kick over automatically. Are they on auto mode? Yes, they are on automatic switching. Let's give her a fly and see how she does. Throttle up, panel lock, SAS engage. Let's see how she flies. I have no clue. Brakes off. Alright. Is it going to start rolling ever? There we go. Wow, she's got some thrust, y'all. She's also got some turningness. Let's see. Silas, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the Academy. She's getting up. Oh, she's got speed, I'll tell you what. She definitely has the speed. Does she have the lift? She has the lift even. Look at that. So there we go. Now we're just going to have to see how far we get up there. I don't really trust their auto mode, honestly, Gav, but if they fail us, she flies pretty good. She's acting like she wants to nose up, but I think she's flying okay. Are we in auto mode? Yes, we're in air breathing mode. Okay, that's good. Are we drinking the fuel out of the middle? Why are we not drinking the fuel out of the middle? Where are we drinking the fuel from, honestly? Oh, didn't we have a tank in the very front? We had a tank all the way up here, didn't we? Oh, that was our balance tank. Ah, yeah, okay. We definitely need to keep that up there. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pump that fuel back in. I had that tank there for balance purposes. So let us see. Dude, declarations. What's going on, man? We are attempting to get a space plane into orbit here. We already had a little tiny, you know what we forgot? Passengers. We already had a little tiny plane make it. We're going to see if the XL wing here, as you can tell, we've kind of got an XL wing engine setup going. Let's see if the XL wing can make it into orbit. And I'm going to try this time to do a little bit better launch, which you usually want to do. Some Dublin Dr. Pepper. Oh, no, I know. Oh, my gosh. Dude. The Dublin Dr. Pepper. I'm not going to lie, that stuff is delicious. If you don't know what Dublin Dr. Pepper is, it's Dr. Pepper made with real cane sugar. You can only get it every so often up around Dallas. That is delicious. It's so cool. Yes, that's why I put the fuel blitz machine. I wanted that ballast up there. Although, actually, you may be right. You may be right, Blitz. We wanted to get the center of gravity back further, and so we could have removed it. You may actually be absolutely right. We could have also made it our fuel-only tank. I feel like I'm a little bit low on lift, and here's why. When I'm flying, I'm having to nose way up. You see how my nose is well above my actual orbit? If I had enough lift, that would not be looking that way. We would be flying basically straight at that green circle. This is telling me that I don't really have enough lift for this plane. So we're going to see how it goes. We're wasting some fuel right now because see how we're kind of, you know, the engines aren't pointing straight back. We really want those engines to be pointing straight with the orbit there. And that is definitely a bit of a problem for us. That is just telling me that we don't have enough lift. Nubius Maximus, this is the... Blitz is exactly bang on. Blitz is right. We did want to remove that fuel from the front. In fact, well, I think I fixed the tail now, so now that I fixed the tail, I don't think I'm going to mess with it because we balanced it like that. Nubius Maximus, the engine on here, these are the Rapier engines. They're new engines we got a couple releases ago, and they are engines which can breathe both air and oxidizer. They're dual mode engines. They can run both ways. This may totally bork us. What are we doing on intake air? Okay, we're getting up around 13. Alright. What I'm going to want to do, and this is where my skills are probably surpassed by quite a few people in the audience, we're going to want to level out this space plane and gain as much speed as we can. Once we get up here. Caboose, an RTG is this little radiothermal generator that I've got tacked on the bottom there. It's just a way to generate electricity. Let me see if I can level out and start getting some more speed. Look at that speed go up. Now that we're up here in the thinner air, we're losing that intake air really quickly, but that speed is going up like a mug. And there's a problem. We're starting to run out of intake air. That's not good. We are running out of intake air, and we are getting asymmetric thrust from our engines. That is a problem. Let me see how much velocity I can get here. I've just come too far up, and now I do not have... Wow, that big tail is definitely serving me well. I'm trying to get as much velocity as I can. I am not sure if the auto switch is going to work, but we are going to see. I don't want to be going down. This is the problem with these cool mounted engines. Yep, look at that. Nope, she's going down. That's not what we want at all. Now she's going sideways. So what's happening here is I'm running out of intake air, and I really needed to set these things up as action groups. Pull back up for me. Now you've got 0.10. That's okay. Just start pulling back up. What's my velocity? I'm still increasing my velocity. That's good. What I'm going to try and do... Wow, look at that. That is not the way we need to be doing. We're still going down. I need to pull that orbit up. I need to maintain this. We're okay. I'm just trying to get as much of this as possible, but dropping back down to that thicker atmosphere is not helping me at all. We are going to need to... How are we doing here? Don't fail. I may fail. Because she definitely started to get squirrely there, and it's because of the way these engines are mounted. Let's see what we can do. That's 0.13. Now we're gaining speed again. That's good. I basically just want to gain as much speed right along this vector as I can before I get up out of the atmosphere. We are still kind of in the soup. I've got those intakes working. We need that lift. Not having the lift there is killing me, I feel. We're still increasing our speed, but we're beginning to start to go down, and that's not good. Come on, just tilt up a little bit. I don't want her to get out of control. But I also don't want her to be going down. We're not gaining very much speed here anymore. Let's see. We're wasting a whole lot of fuel here fighting against this atmosphere. Basically, what I want to do, now that I've got this, I want to continue. Alright, now we're ascending. That's good. I want to watch this. Keep flying it. Oh, it's skewing to the left. To the right, actually. How's that air intake? 0.3, 50, 60. I wish these things would switch. But instead of switching, they're giving me asymmetric thrust, which is really getting on my nerves. I really wish I had an action group to switch them. So here's what I'm going to do. Let me see if I can't force them to switch just by nosing up. Let's see if that works. I do not believe that with these engines and this amount of lift, I'm going to be able to do this. Am I going up? I am going up. Come on. Ah, come on. We definitely need more lift. I don't really want to spam too many more intakes. That's what we need to do, DK. We don't have an action group. We need to set an action group so that we can switch them. I'm at 1504. I'm still gaining velocity. It's just this... Okay, there's some of them switched. Okay, I think I got the switch. I think I got them all switched. Did they all switch? Yes, because they are overheating. That definitely means they switched. But look at this. We're going to burn that fuel way too fast. We are not going to get into space because we didn't have that apoapse. We did not. We had the velocity, but we did not have... Wow, we're going super fast. Honestly, let's see. I'm not gonna give up yet. I still have good delta V. That's 80. That's 90. Okay. Wow, we definitely fought our way out of the atmosphere there. That was dirty. Honestly, that was totally dirty. 1 lift per ton, 1 engine for every 5 to 6 tons. That's good to know. Isn't the 1 tank still off? Yes, it is. We can also turn that 1 tank back on. But check out our orbital velocity. We've got freaking good orbital velocity. We've got 1,300 meters per second delta V. This plane is in space, y'all. It's a really ugly orbit because I started to get those problems with yawing sideways, so we do have quite a bit of inclination here. But look, can I make that an orbit? That's 90. The Perry's 86. I can definitely make that an orbit. And in fact, we're going to have quite a bit of delta V left. In fact, I know we're going to have a lot of delta V left. We will be able to circularize this. because when we do this burn for 500, we have 1300. That means we're going to have about 800 left. Ugly orbit fits the plane. You take your ugly orbit and you get out of here, Override. This plane worked like a charm. I will have you know, it was a little dirty. That burn, yeah. We're going to be good to go. So I am not going to spend the time circularizing this. We're going to go back and see if we can't tweak this thing. I've got 10 minutes left in the stream. So let us see. Do I use the same mods that I list for KSTV? Media Gnome. I don't list any mods for KSP TV. You may be talking to declarations there, though. But I am going to say that this guy was a success. He got us to orbit. He's got RCS. We've got control authority in a couple different directions, mostly back and forth. That's good. Let's go back to the spaceplane hangar, fix a couple of those problems, see if we can't get a cleaner orbit. DK, you're not wrong. This plane totally desires 0.25 parts, I think. Let us see if we can't get a little bit cleaner orbit and get this plane into a rendezvous with the station. So, number one, somebody asked, how can I make some action groups? To make action groups, and what did we say here? It went fine with the fuel there, though. Yeah, I think it went fine with fuel. I'm not gonna. It ain't broke. Ain't gonna fix it. To do action groups, you click on the little hammer and wrench up here. That brings up the action group. Then you can click on a action group such as Custom 1. Once you get the action group set, you can click on a part, and that'll select the part here. Let me get this guy out of the way. Unlock position and size. Go over there. Excellent. I can click on the parts, and you'll see it actually selects the parts in symmetry there. So this selected both of those Rapier engines. I am going to do switch mode and switch mode. This is a little dirty. This isn't great because I would really like it such that I could switch one of them to rocket and one of them leaving as air breathing. What that means is that when we get up into that really thin air, we would actually be able to turn off two of them, turn them to rocket mode, and leave two of them in air breathing mode until they run out of air. That way we would use a little bit less rocket fuel and we would be able to get a little bit more efficient launch there. But all I'm doing, I've set up Custom 1 here to switch mode. Marco Master 10. There you go, I just said your name. We've got that set. I just created the action groups for that. Another action group that I can set is going to be 2, and we can actually do these intakes. Toggle intake. That was the bottom. Why can I not rotate here? That's interesting. It's not letting me rotate the view. Oh, here we go. Lock position and size. Then I can click on this, toggle intake. I'm not exactly sure exactly how much this does. I've never found it to make a huge difference. But you can turn the air intakes on and off, and it should be more or less drag by turning them off. Let us see. They do produce different amounts of thrust, but DK, if I were to take these things and put them in a line along the wing instead of in the X-wing configuration above and below like I have, if I put these in a line along the wing, then it wouldn't matter if they were producing asymmetric thrust. If you had 2 in rocket mode and 2 in air breathing mode, you would still be thrusting along your center of mass. That's what I wanted to do, but we've already come this far. I'm pretty sure we could get to orbit with that right there. Let's give it a try, because this plane flew just fine. So 1 to toggle the mode, 2 to close the air intakes. I think that's all that we need. I could set up 10. I could park on that, and I could do toggle. That would be good. And I could also turn my light on like that, toggle. That's good. And that's 0. Let's launch this puppy. We only have about 10 minutes left. So let us see. Let us see. There's that. Oh, with a crew. We also need to put some crew in here. Let's click here. Oh, we don't have enough crew. Billy Bobfield. That's an awesome redneck rocketeer right there. Work on the lift. I could work on the lift a little bit. Let me get some crew and see if I can't spend 2 seconds working on the lift. Dudbull. Herfin. Herbert. Wow. New Hat. New Hat. That's an awesome name, honestly. Let's put New Hat up there. Let's put Herbert, and let's put Dudbull. That will be our orbital hill. Marco Master, take it easy. Thanks for hanging out. I'm glad you were able to catch the Kerbal Space Academy tonight. The lift. Let's look right quick. I don't want to bone the plane. There's the lift. What can I do? I could totally be Cheaty McCheaterson like this. We'll make it a little bit more X-wingy. For those of you who had a problem with the X-wingosity of it, we could totally put one down there, and we could totally put the same sort of deal right here. That, haven't seen a lot of planes that look like that, but that's going to give us a whole heck of a lot more lift. Since that's one wing, I'm not going to worry about the weight on it. Let's see how that puppy flies. We will hit save. I don't know, I just added some more lift. You know, whatever. We will hit launch. I felt like my control authority was okay. Let us make sure our Kerbals are still in there. You still in there, Kerbals? Seriously? Seriously? Yeah, it's like the Red Baron triplane. Billy Bobble, Herbert, Dudbull and New Hat. Save it. Launch it. Let's see if this thing goes to space. We were just playing around, DK. We were trying to find a rudder design that would give us some lift back there, but would stay out of the way of the engines. So I angled them up like that so that they wouldn't get burned off by the engines. That was 100% the plan there. See how you can tell that? And then they ended up at the higher angle just because we wanted them to produce less lift. That is exactly what we were doing. Less lift and keeping them out of the way of the engines. Plus, it kind of looks cool, honestly. Let's see if I can get this thing into orbit. I am going to go ahead and launch her. Bill there is our pilot. I need to go ahead and turn this off right quick because she's balanced like that. Let's do out. Excellent. Let's see if we can get her into orbit here. You know that there are mods that address it as well, Caboose, that oh wait, I better stay on the runway first. Step 1, stay on the runway. Let's see if she can take off. Can you lift off, XL X-Wing? There you go, we got lift off. Let's get them gear up. Excellent folding action. You know what I didn't do? I didn't check to see where the space station was. Meh, who cares? Let's go for that 45-degree angle to get some... Oh, wow. Look, she flies a lot more stable with that extra lift now. She feels a lot more stable with that extra lift, honestly. And look, we are actually almost in the green ball. We could actually use a little bit more lift, but she flies a lot better with more lift. Jet mode works at 4... What? I have no math. Nobody comes to Kerbal Space Academy for math, level-licious. Let's see if we can get this done here. I will go ahead and turn the engineer off. We are flying into the sunrise, it looks like. These dudes should have a great view. Looking out the side. Apparently they can see some water down there. This guy doesn't have a good view at all. Actually, none of these are really window seats. He can see water as well. Apparently you can really just see the inside of the wing there. Camera, there we go. Back to here. Let me try for that inclination. You keep asking me that question, Caboose. I don't think I answered it correctly the first time, I guess. What was the answer? What was the answer? How do I tell the gender of a plane? I'm sure there's a joke in here. Let's try a little bit different launch profile here. I don't know if I have the lift for it, but we are just going to try and go up at a 45-degree angle and then level off a little bit sooner. I need to level off right around 20. They have 2 pictures of Jeb. That's all they need to look at. You don't need to see outside. Here, look at the internal structure of this wing and pictures of Jeb. What else do you need, really? I love how Bill is in the dark since there's no freaking cockpit on that thing. I am just slowly but surely... Oh, man, it's that... Yeah, I nose up a little bit. I like that. Look at that thing taking off. That is actually really cool, y'all. That's not a bad-looking plane, honestly. I love the delta look of the tail fin. That looks really cool. Not gonna lie. That's screenshotable. That's not bad at all. Ah, what button do I press to get back? Alright, I'm at 10. I'm still flying. Is it better to gain altitude faster? Ah. The common wisdom is that you want to go for a 45-degree angle of attack until you get into thinner air, around 20. You want to get up out of that thick air really quickly. So that's why we go to 45-degree angle. Then when we get high, we don't want to climb out of it too fast. We want to get a whole heck of a lot of velocity from that air. That's when we level off and try to fly level. So that is what we're going to do. I'm actually going to start leveling off here. Now we're going to start pulling that nose down. So 45-degree angle till you get up out of the soup. Start leveling off around 15. Go to be level somewhere around 20, and then get you buku speed at 20. And it's all about what you got right here, right? You got to keep this above 0.10. So now we're good. I'm going to watch this as well. I don't want to climb out of 20,000 feet too quickly. I want to level her off just like this. She's flying so much better now. She's flying so much better. Just putting those triplane wings on there, I mean, that looks cool, doesn't it? Now we're at 0.7. Oops, but I don't want to go down. I don't want to go down. I want to keep that nav ball. Hey, we could actually, thoop, there we go. I want to keep that nav ball just above the horizon. I just turned on one of my mods, nav HUD. So let's get that nav